Peace. Power.
This is the Dope Ones podcast. The Dope Ones. The Dope Ones.
My brother.
Hey, what's good, bro?
What's good, bro? So good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, my brother. Appreciate
You
you
already.
tapping in with me. On the
You already,
first
man.
edition, Dope Ones Live, baby.
Yo, man, I'm happy to be you know what I'm saying, lucky enough to be the first one on, man. I'm gonna be honest,
Hey,
man. Like,
salute, man. Quiet as it's kept, man. You were the reason why I got into this podcast thing, man.
oh man,
Ever since
yo,
I jumped on
appreciate
yours, I got the confidence to strike out and do one myself, man.
Right. Nah, for real, man. But you know, man, we'll dive more into that. But let's just say it came full circle for both of us. You know what I mean?
Facts, bro.
Yeah,
Facts,
man. How's
bro.
everything?
Everything is good, man. You know, just
Good.
maintaining everything, family life, business life, art life.
Right.
You know,
I heard that, man. You know, we doing the same over here.
Yeah, man. How's the family? Everybody good?
Oh, everybody's good, bro. You know, we tapping in, getting ready for school starting Monday virtually. So, you know, we staying safe.
Oh, that's what's up. So they are doing virtual schools in South Florida?
Yeah. Right. They are.
Bet.
For the time being.
So for everybody out there, Earl is coming to us live from, you're in West Palm, right? Or you in Boynton?
I'm in Boynton. I'm in Boynton Beach. So
okay.
West Palm area.
Boynton Beach, Florida. Boynton Beach. Representing. Rudy, what's good?
My man. Pat, what's going on, baby? I see you in here. What's good with you?
Yeah,
SP
man.
forever. You already know.
Got some people tapping in, man.
Word.
So look,
man.
E, I want to talk to you about some things, man. It's a lot going on.
Right.
I just want to chat with you, man, about a few things. First off, man, I want you to tell us about how, like, you got into podcasting, bro, because you've been doing your thing for a minute. And, like, I salute your consistency and, you know, your dedication to it. You know what I mean? By the way, Earl hosts Guessing from the Stands podcast, which is a very dope panel of guys who, you know, they talk about sports, but they going on everything. It's primarily centered around sports, but, you know, they going on everything. So tell us a little bit about, you know, how you started, E.
I was a podcast listener for years, for a while. That's just what I did. My drives back and forth to work, things of that nature. But I ended up knowing some guys through the internet, through forums. I actually knew some guys through Nike Talk, and then, you know, we talked through Twitter and stuff like that. Shout out to all my OG Nike Talk heads. Y'all know we was in the building
Nike Talk
for a long. Still on there too. But what got me interested in it is my guy Amp, man. Shout out to Amp, Devin, and Joe from a Random Acts podcast. That's really what got my foot in the door as far as like being like, yo, I could actually do this. Just being interactive with theirs. And then my guy Bees over at if you're listening to this podcast, is actually who showed me the technology on what to do, get it going and things like that. And I always wanted to do a podcast for a few years, bro. To be honest with you. For at least, it had been sitting on my mind for 2 years prior to doing it. But, you know, doing a podcast yourself, as you know, relying on guests a lot of times, you don't want to necessarily do that because you want to have enough content to be able to do so. And it's a process. It's a process. So I ended up talking to my brother, and, you know, he's really big into sports too. And my thing is this, anybody, shout out to B, man. And, you know, we tapped in with my boy Z, and we started Guessing from the Stand in August 2018, and we celebrating our 100th episode in 2 weeks.
Salute, man. Congrats, bro.
Man, it's the grind. It's a real grind. From there, you know, things were cracking, and then around the playoffs, it was like, man, you know, the voices that we have are great, but let's see if we could turn this up even more. And I knew that there were guys that I felt like had some of the best minds in sports that I knew. Shout out to my man Christian. My man Mike, we go back to college. Me and Mike went to college down the road from each other, so we've been going back 10 years now. Jeff and Christian, I met when I first moved out here.
My bad, bro. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I can hear you all good.
You hear me? Okay, cool. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes,
I just want to make sure.
No, all good. Yep. So we did that. We had a NBA playoffs preview episode. So I invited them on, and it was just something about that episode that it just clicked. And it was like, this is what we're supposed to do. So that's really what kept it going. And they've literally been with us now for the duration of the time. So I mean, shoot, my thing was always this: I'm a well-connected, pretty well-known guy. I use my internet platform pretty well, but I've always wanted to be able to give a platform to other people. That's what satisfies me. I want to be able to, set my guys up for whatever they can do. And from that, we already have a podcast that's branched off. My man Christian has his own podcast now that's not centered around sports. But the point is, he got the experience with us, and he's still with us, but just the opportunity to be able to do so. And I mean, I knew some of the brightest minds in sports that, seemed to be the voice of the voiceless. And I wanted to use my power to give them the platform. And it's not to say I did it myself. I couldn't do it without them. But it's just I know that my connections can get their voices out and heard in spaces that they weren't before, and they deserve that. So I busted my ass, and we busted our ass together to do that. And we here today, man.
That's dope, man. That's dope. No, I give y'all a lot of credit, man. Just coming on, it's a lot of different personalities on your show, man. But y'all all bring something different and dope to the table. Like, I can appreciate everyone's perspective, and like, I just, I admire the fact that, y'all could just get on however often you do it and just keep it consistent. You know what I mean?
Every week.
Yeah, every week, man. That's big. That's like, that's big, bro. It's hard to manage a bunch of personalities. It's like, I used to wonder how like Wu-Tang stayed together for so long. Like, I mean? Many personalities, But
yeah, my approach to that is, just allow people to be themselves. Like I've realized that when I have to be moderator or I have to kind of delegate or whatever the case may be, I do that. I don't mind doing that at all. And that's not saying that nobody else could either, but it's just I'm secure enough in myself, and we all are, to kind of fall back and let such and such person take this or take that. Like a lot of times we'll say, hey, run point on this, just to keep it in sports. But the point is, you tackle that, we get in, and you know what I'm saying, there's no egos there.
Yeah, no, that's important, man. You can set your ego to the side and just have, organic conversation. And to the subject matter, I think especially now, like I'm happy like they found a way at least to bring basketball back, because people need escapism now. There's so much going on. There's so much negative, energy right now. So much to be worried about. Like, sports provides an escape. You know what I'm saying? Like, the podcast network that I'm on right now, Be Heard. Shout out to everybody on the Be Heard network. It's primarily a sports podcast platform. And, I'm like the only podcast on the network that's not focused around sports. Right. But it's good. People were missing sports so much. It's good that it's back, and people have just something to kind of take their mind off of everything else that's going on right now. You know what I mean? So I think that's really dope. And I think, what you guys are doing is important, but also the seriousness, like, the elephants in the room right now of everything that's going on. You touched on that too. You've spoken about social issues. I've been on your show when you deal with social issues. And I feel like everyone with a platform such as ours, even if we have 5 listeners a week, it's important to speak on these issues and create dialogue concerning these issues, especially when they directly affect us, when they directly affect people of color. And I salute you for being able to transition and do that as well. Tell me, like, your thoughts on just the importance of having a platform to speak out just about whatever you feel, is important. Like, tell me what you think about that, how important it is to you.
Well, I want to make sure that I say this correctly before I say it.
Okay.
One, I don't think everybody needs a platform. And I think the older that we're
I agree completely.
It's because you have to have the discipline to be able to do the things that we do with that platform.
Definitely.
It's not to say that people don't work hard at platforms that don't use that discipline to do it, but we're seeing now that we're in the times where only people who are going to give those perspectives matter right now. The shade rooms, this, that, and the third. This is not a knock to them. They hustle how they hustle, but I'm sorry, but that platform to me is not necessary. So that's what I mean by when I say everybody doesn't need one. Now, if you use your platform for good, then by all means, I'm all for it. But with that being said, I think it's our duty. I think it's our duty as people. I think it's our duty specifically as Black people. I think it's our duty as men. I I think it's our duty to use those platforms and to open those platforms for other disenfranchised people. I'm really big on women's equality. I'm really big on people equality in general, no matter your walk of life. And I feel like it is my duty to use my platform to be able to give the voice to the voiceless. So I feel like it's important. If you're going to have that platform, utilize it wisely. It's not to say we don't crack jokes. It's not to say we don't do this, that, and the third. But when it's time to be serious, I feel like it would be cowardly for us to stick to sports, especially when that's been such a stigma of people who made it to the top, the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, to stick to sports. How dare we have the freedom to say what we want here? Because I'm my own boss in this situation. The only people that I answer to is my team, and that's because we make decisions collectively. But as far as speaking wise goes, I'm my own boss, and I say that humbly, and I also say it empowering as well, in an empowering way, because I've, for me and my team, let me not just say that as a unit, as a singular thing, but for us, we built the platform to be able to say, hey, this is what we want to this is what we want to do, this is what we want to utilize this platform for. And they try to shut our figures up so much that no, we're taking it back. I really feel like we're in, I think we touched on it when you came on the podcast, we're in the new age Harlem Renaissance. We control the narrative. We're making media cool. We're making positions cool. Like, we're taking away that power of the big wigs, and everybody's going independent now. And I really, really feel like, and I salute you for being a catalyst and that they even inspired me to be able to do so. Because, man, I tell you, I would not have felt comfortable doing it had I not seen guys in my life like you get out there and say, essentially, we can curse, right?
Absolutely, man. Speak your mind, bro.
Yeah, fuck the system. Like, fuck the system, I get it on my own. You know what I'm saying? So absolutely. I'm sorry, but I'm not here for shucking and jiving. I'm here to do my due diligence as a human being and apologize where I make mistakes and champion for those who need the champion.
Bro, salute to that. Amen to that, brother. And that's, I mean, if you have a platform and you don't use it for some sort of positive, some positive energy, then what do you have it for?
Right.
Like, and like you said, to ignore what's going on right now would be doing everyone who listens to your podcast an injustice. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Shout out to Damien who just joined in. That's my brother. He created the Be Heard podcast platform. Check him out on D-Lo.
Damien, salute.
Yeah. Check him out. ESPN Radio 1320. But he's a great example of he's a sports guy. Like, I consider him like the ambassador of like Sacramento area sports. But he also makes it a point to speak on social issues.
Right.
It's so important, especially now that people have a voice, and to not let, like you said, the major corporations and try not to let anyone monopolize this medium. You know what I'm saying? It's like Nipsey said, giants are gonna crumble and you're gonna see grassroots movement happen, and that's exactly what we're seeing. It's like a digital revolution. And that's what inspired me to jump in it. When you did that Sick and Tired of Being Sick and Tired episode, I was like, wow, just to have a platform that you've already established and then to pivot to something that more people, it gets more of a reach because it's something that affects all of us. I'm like, wow, this is powerful. I would love to do something that's more solely focused on that. Like, there's enough sports podcasts, not to knock anyone doing sports, but there's enough of them, and they're great and they're necessary. And like I said, they provide escapism, they provide, balance, but we need to talk about these issues. What I'm saying? We need to speak about them, and we need to let it be known that we're out here in whatever shape, form, or fashion, we're pushing, forward how we feel, and letting it be known that we're not going to take it anymore. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't have the luxury for real of going out and protesting because I have too much to maintain at home. You know what I mean? Right. But in my own way, I'll put out merch or speak on things on the podcast, whatever the case may be, to let my voice be heard. And that's the way I communicate, is through my art, But
Yep.
salute to you, bro, because you actually were out there, man. You protested, and tell us about that, man. What was that like, man? Because this is such a pivotal time in history, bro. We're all gonna look back on this time the way, our parents talk about the civil rights movement, man. So tell us, what was your experience like when you went out and you were in the streets, man?
Right. So, before anything, let me just say that everybody's position is not to go out there and protest. There are a
Facts.
million things for us to do. So for anybody that feels like, oh, you didn't do your job because you didn't protest or whatever the case may be, let me be the first to tell you the work that we do when the protests are over, the work that we do inside the house. First of all, is your due diligence to protect your family. That's the first thing. So you can't
Absolutely.
protect the world and you can't protect your neighbors without protecting your family first. So salute to you. And your art speaks for itself, bro. So,
Thank
anybody that got anything to
Thank
say about that, they can come see me. But
you.
regardless of that,
I
what it was for
appreciate it,
me,
bro.
nah, for sure, bro. It's all love. But what it was for me when I got to so I got off work and I saw that there was a protest going on. I was like, oh yeah, nah, this is literally a block away from me. I have to go do this. So I
Mm-hmm.
went and did my daily jog. The gyms were closing, this, that, and the third. Went and did my daily jog, and I stopped. And I was like, nah, I'm here. This is where I'm supposed to rest, this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
third. And I was out there, and it felt great. It was a great community. As you know, the Palm Beach area is very, very, very diverse. Um,
Absolutely. Shout out to
tr-
South
truthfully,
Florida.
except for, I would say South Florida in general, except for the ritzy Trump areas,
Yeah.
primarily in some ways, I feel like, to my experience, has been the whites are almost a minority out here, just because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many, you know,
Yeah.
Caribbean
Yeah.
island and it just
Yeah.
is what it is. So the pressures of protesting and stuff felt like we were all at home. We were all
Mm-hmm.
fighting for one. You know what I mean? There was
Mm-hmm.
many different colors of people out there, many different backgrounds, and everybody saw something in themselves. I think what happened with George Floyd was it hit home because we were all home and you couldn't
Yeah.
escape it. You couldn't
Right.
go outside, couldn't turn the TV,
Right.
you couldn't escape it. And it's like,
Right.
again, like we said, man, we sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, you can't escape the issue, divisions.
Mm-hmm.
And even that day, it was so funny when Trump walked and did his little speech or whatever he did at that church. That made me say, okay, he's going to take his walk. Well, I'm gonna go take my powerful walk too. I'm gonna go make my voice be heard. And we accomplished what we
Oh,
wanted to accomplish. It was safe.
word.
And it really did something. Now I will say this. I protected myself. I made sure that I socially distanced, had my mask on, everything like that, because you still, got to protect the
Absolutely.
crib. But
Definitely.
I felt it in my heart that I wanted to. My grandfather marched. My grandmother marched. My great grandfather, and so on and so forth. Like, there's even pictures and records of my great grandmother, passed away a couple years ago, helping out with Martin Luther King with the NAACP in Albany, Georgia. So I
Wow.
know that connection was like finger tight. So it's like I felt like it was my duty and my due diligence to do so.
It's in your DNA, man. It's in your
Yeah,
DNA, man. And that's
absolutely.
super admirable that you jumped
And if I
in.
could add one more thing, I'll be honest
Absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely.
Us growing up, neighbors and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
had Mr. Ramsey found out that I had an opportunity to go and protest and I didn't, he would have put his fist in my chest. So I had to do it. You know what I mean?
He would have said something. No, for sure. I mean, no, for sure, man. He would have been proud of you, man.
Yeah, man.
Definitely,
And
man.
that's where it comes from, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I kid you not, that being proud of being black, where we grew up, he
Yeah.
never, never, never let us forget that we were black, ever.
Nah.
Ever.
Nah, definitely not, man. And that's important too, man. And that's actually kind of a good segue into my next question, just about, you're a dad, you're raising, a black boy in America in 2020, and just instilling in him his sense of pride and being self-aware. Knowledge of self is so important. And just the juxtaposition of just the what we're going through right now, just socially in 2020, things that, as kids growing up, we just read about in history books, a watered down version, but it's rearing its ugly head again. You know what I'm saying? How do you, as a father, how do you begin to like break down, because this is something I'm having trouble with. Like, how do you start to kind of roll back the curtain, if you will, and at the same time instill that sense of pride and self and culture, and teach your son what it truly means to be Black in America and our history in this country?
It's going to come with time. We're introducing it now because he's going to kindergarten. So he's going to start to feel it, right?
It's a lot delay on him, right?
It's a lot delay, but at the same time, for him, his experience is different than, say, my experience. I grew up in a primarily white environment, per se. His experience is there's one white kid in his class last year. There's 2 white kids in the class this year. So his experience is nothing but Black. His teachers are Black.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, and that's a luxury that we didn't have growing up, right? But regardless of that, you know, just explaining to him, I try to teach him the power first. I'm choosing to stay away from slavery early.
Okay.
But I want to teach him more so about the royalty in Black blood, right? The richness in Black blood, the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the kings, the queens. I want him to understand that you are important. I believe that that's something that starts early, right? Because not to get too deep, but let's just call it what it is. If you grew up religious, you know, Jesus was painted as a white man. Let's just call it what it is. But the biblical description of him is skin of bronze, hair of wool. That's a Black man to me. Like, I mean, so
where Jesus is from historically,
it doesn't make any sense that all of a sudden this white guy and you know, whatever. I'm not even worried about offending anybody. That this white man is what's seen as God. This white man is seen as what is rich and what is pure. And no, that's not the case. Your skin is seen as that. So I want him to view himself in the same way. You are to look at yourself as the originator, as the source of energy. You're to look at yourself as the source of pride and have a pride in that. You know, be proud of where you come from. And also in the same time, protecting women, especially Black women as well.
Definitely.
You know, that's something that wasn't instilled in us directly as it is today, or should be today. And that's cool. But we're going to right that wrong. And that's what I'm instilling in him too. So just introducing him with the, giving him the candy before I give him the medicine. For sure.
No,
that's what I'm doing.
I think it's a great. Yeah, I think it's great, and I think it's great to start with the prestige and the regal sort of culture that we originate from. That, you know, he wouldn't get more than likely in school because we didn't get it. Right. You know, the fact that we come from kings and queens in our culture, and just even in this country, just something like how many Black inventors there are. You know, this is something I touched on an episode early on. You know, just that we're unaware of all of these things, all of these things that not only shape us culturally, but shape the entire culture, the entire construct. You know, a lot of it is just figuratively and literally built on the backs of Black people. You know, but one thing I will say though is that, and I know a lot of Black people. Black folk are tired of just like seeing like slavery movies and slavery stories and
over it.
But see, I don't feel that way. I feel like there's so many lessons that still need to be taught that originate from slavery and the effects that it still has right now. Like just about what you said about Black women. The reason why Black women are treated the way they are is from slavery.
Oh, absolutely.
The reason why lighter-skinned Black people get scrutinized is slavery. It's slave mentality. And there's so many lessons that can be learned from slavery that I still think haven't sunk in yet, because we want to forget that part of our history. And I think it's good to have those images and those stories told. Like, there's so many more that need to be told that tell a lot about who we are and what we're dealing with right now, because it wasn't that long ago in the history of this country. It was not that long ago. So we need not act like it didn't happen. Like, we need to understand the ramifications long term. You know what I mean? It's like, if you went through something traumatic in your childhood, it stays with you your whole life, you know? when we were brought here, that's the infancy of our lives culturally here on this continent. And now we're like well into adulthood, still dealing with the shit that happened back then. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think it's something that still needs to be harped on, and we need to be adamant about exactly what happened. But to your point, your son is kindergarten age, so
he ain't ready for it yet.
He's not ready for that yet.
Like, you used to live in DC, right?
Yeah,
so of course you've been
DC.
Exactly. So when we were living in Maryland, right, in PG County, we used to go to the Blacks and Wax music. Shout out. We used to go to Blacks and Wax every year. Now, my 7-year-old ass should not have been in Blacks and Wax. That was the most if for those of y'all that have ever been to Blacks and Wax, it's a Black History Museum, and on the bottom they have a slave ship that shows you slave just what happened in slavery.
Yeah.
I should not have been there at 7. But it was real. But my mom also was the type that, you know, her father was really big in the NAACP, HBCU, educated, things like that. We did not hide that. That was not hidden from us at all.
Yeah.
So slavery was a real thing for us. I mean, when you think about it, my great grandmother passed at 100, right? So that would mean that the stories that she would have gotten from her grandparents to pass down to me, her grandparents, mind you, came directly from slavery. So when you say it wasn't that long ago, no, bro, I'm one generation, at least have known one generation removed from slavery.
Absolutely. And that's not acknowledged enough. Like, we think it's, you know, this ancient thing that happened, or let them tell it. Let the other side tell it. It's like, oh, you need to get over it. No.
Ruby Bridges is in her 60s. Like, that's younger than my grandmother.
Yeah.
Like,
and
we got to talk about these things.
Depending on what part of the country you're from, I know people whose grandparents were pretty much indentured servants on plantations. Like, if you're from Virginia, if you're from the Virginia area, where it's a commonwealth, like, people our age, their grandparents were pretty much slaves.
Were technically slaves, yes, absolutely. Mississippi as well.
Yeah, Mississippi, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, but no, I mean, I think your approach is great. I think it's like, and see, with my kids, it's tough too, because when you're rearing their little young minds, you know, everything is kind of like cut and dry to them. Everything is black and white, quote unquote. So colorism automatically becomes a thing, you know. And I'm telling my kids they're black, even though they're black and multiracial. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's confusing for them too.
Oh, that's a whole. How is that experience for you?
It's like, it's tough for me, because for me, I mean, it's different. Like, I'm one of the most fair-skinned people in my family. I have nothing but black people in my family. So it was never a question for me. You know, it was never like an identity crisis kind of thing. It was never, you know, well, I'm black, why am I so light? You know, that kind of thing. It was never that for me. But for my kids, it's different, because he has 2 fair-skinned, you know, parents, and he sees, you know, his mom's side, which is, you know, multi-ethnic, multi-racial, you know what I mean? So it's a little tougher to kind of get that point across. But I think, like you said, it comes with time. And when you spoon feed, as long as you're doing something to give your children knowledge yourself, you know what I mean, and instilling a sense of pride and understanding in who they are, you know, but also excluding any prejudice, because I don't want to instill that in them anyway, even though I'm angry. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've been angry, I don't want that to permeate within them. You get what I mean? And that's tough for me. That's something that I struggle with, because socially, especially right now, I mean, every time we turn on the news, look at our Facebook, Instagram feed, it's something that's going to piss us off, and largely surrounding issues of race. So,
and then you got to think about it. You can't even escape it, because your job is primarily, you know, through the internet. So I can't even really escape, if I wanted to, these images and stuff, because if I try to escape and turn on the television, it's everywhere. If I try to do work and I'm promoting my work, it's everywhere in my feed. It just, you can't escape it.
And me as an artist, it's my job to express the truth. Like, good art expresses what's happening in reality. So
1000%.
I can't, like you said about your podcast, I can't ignore what's going on.
Yep.
And for every light skinned nigga is more inclined to be socially conscious because we got a chip on our shoulder and we got to overcompensate, if you will. I'm even
You said
more,
a word there. You said a word there.
I'm
No,
even more
real talk, because I'm gonna be honest, and this is not woe is me as a light skinned guy. And please, anybody, please don't take it as that. And this is more so I feel more of a responsibility to use whatever privilege I have to do something.
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
that burden even more.
Yes.
Like it would be a waste of my privilege or passiveness to just say that I'm only out for self. Nah.
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm making up for the lack of melanin, but I do feel like, again, I have a duty to make sure that I am not one of those ones that benefits from this, but I get in the trenches.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
Yep.
And just the fact that you can acknowledge the fact that as lighter skinned Black people, we do have a privilege.
Yep.
Like to ignore that would, be like ignoring just any racial issue in our country.
Yeah.
Like we definitely not only have to stand on that, but use it for the greater good. Like, because we
or get out the way.
Or get out the way. Or get out the way. Absolutely. Because you either in or out. There's no, on the fence. There's no there's no gray area right now in any regard. There's none. You know, it's like you either with me or against me, ho. And we trying to win. We trying to win. You know what I mean? So,
straight up.
Yeah, man. No, that's real. So I want to ask you, bro, while we on the topic, man, the gravity of this election year, man, the importance of our vote, the Black vote, the minority vote. I'm like, I can't put it into words, just how just furious I am when people want to nitpick and use this election to like leverage the Black vote. Yet at the same time, I fully understand it. I fully get it. Like Ice Cube. Like, I don't know if you've been following what Ice Cube's been doing.
Oh yeah, that's my man.
He just put out a contract for Black people and basically demanding change in our communities. And we know Ice Cube always been on one. I absolutely am for everything. I suggest everybody look it up, go read it. Contract for Black people. It's a whole document that he sat down and came up with, and they're very poignant and just crucial. They're not even like anything out of the ordinary. They're very basic things that he's asking for in this thing that are long overdue in our communities, the attention to our communities. However, it's like, do we use this election as a time to leverage the Black vote? It's like, as important as it is to get this motherfucking cancer, this pandemic, this orange plague that is in the White House out first, and then bring something like that to the table. Because his argument, he's been putting out videos, and I've been watching them and kind of dissecting them. His thing is like, well, everybody talking about we need to get Trump out, but then what happens next? It's like, what are they going to do next? It is, but like E. Ray Holland just said, we don't have time to ask those questions just because it's so imperative that we get him out. Everything Ice Cube is talking about is 1,000% relevant and needs to be, urgently brought to the table and addressed, and there needs to be some changes made. But first and foremost, our number one objective has to be to get Trump out of office. Period. End of story. Like, it has to happen.
And you're right. So there's a couple of things here that need to happen. The first thing is we need to understand where we're at as a people. The second thing that we need to do is understand how important the right to vote is.
Yes.
There's just, even if you feel like you can't believe in the candidates here, there are certain things that, as your ancestors and direct ancestors, because this isn't a 300-400-year-old thing. This is your grandmother who you see on Christmas and Thanksgiving fought for the right for you to vote. That is how real this is. And if you're talking about our generation specifically, the grandparent that you were around a lot and damn near helped raise you, fought for you to vote.
Yes.
I don't care if this comes off as guilt tripping. You owe it to that generation to vote.
Oh, you do, man.
That's the first thing.
Absolutely.
The second thing is, once we get the people that we are left with in office, we have to hold them accountable then. So
Definitely.
cool. There is a process to what Ice Cube is asking for. Let's get them in office first. But as soon as they get in office, we put that pressure on them to fulfill what they did because we helped get you there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And if not, I think this year has shown that we sick and tired of being sick and tired as well. We will hold you accountable. We will be outside protesting this, that, and the third if our needs aren't addressed. Flat out. There will be no rest. That's how you can do both in the same breath. There will be no rest.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to piggyback off of that real quick, man, no, we definitely will apply that pressure. I mean, if anything has been established in this current era we're living in, is that, we stop at, nothing to put our foots on your neck to get our point across. But I think one thing that I think doesn't get harped on enough is how important it is to educate ourselves, I should say, because I'm included in this, about your local representatives, the people who are running locally. Like, we have no idea. Like, everything is focused on the general election, and we put less emphasis, on the primaries, every 2 years, and that's where like real change starts is locally. We need to be more educated, and if anything, we need to bring our grievances, right outside our front door. We need to go down to our city halls and city councilmen and town hall meetings. That's where you really sow the seeds of real change as far as political. Because growing up, I was always of the rebellious mindset. Oh, fuck the government. They don't care about us. Our vote ain't gonna change anything. And it's been true to an extent. Yeah. But like you said, Earl, our ancestors, our grandparents fought for that right. And we need to exercise every right and civil liberty we have as Black people and people of color, and putting people in power who really give a damn about our well-being and they just are there for a greater good and not just their own self-gain. There are politicians like that, but what it takes is educating ourselves about who these candidates are. Like, take an AOC, for example. I think she's a great example of someone who genuinely has the people's best interest in mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there are politicians like that, but it's just been it's so convoluted, and all of these other things that are, we feel like are bigger than us on a government level, on a federal level, that we ignore who's making laws and policies right in our own backyard. And that's what we need to educate ourselves on first. That's what we really need to exercise. Because the president, now, I'm always going to be of the mindset that leadership starts from the top. I might have watched Remember the Titans too much as a kid, but leadership starts from the top, man. It starts from the top. It does. And it trickles down, However, like, you need to get involved politically, especially when men our age with families, or if we, experienced or loved ones have experienced any sort of police brutality, racism, unjust incarceration, any sort of systematic flaw, we need to be even more adamant about being on the front lines and getting in the faces of these lawmakers, politicians who are right here, right in Boynton, right here in Sacramento. Rest in peace to Stephen Clark, who died in somebody's backyard 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Behind, this corrupt ass, racist, Nazi ass police department in Sacramento. You know, we need to start locally first.
And another thing I will say is this. As far as the presidential candidates go. Because, I mean, let's just address the elephant in the room. Are their records clean? No, not in the slightest. And do I fully trust either of them? No. But in life, there are times where you're going to have to do things that are going to make you uncomfortable to get to a greater good. And, you know, I explained this to my little sister who was kind of on the fence of voting. I said this. Sometimes in life, in order, let's say you had and this may be a little descriptive, but it is what it is. Let's say you had gangrene in the foot. Are you going to let that foot deteriorate and cause you to potentially lose your life because you're not comfortable with possibly stopping the bleeding where it is over temporary discomfort? And that's what we're really dealing with here. Yeah. It's an ugly situation. It's an ugly past. It's an ugly reputation. But is this going to be for the greater good? And I think that even just looking at the way that the rest of the world is starting to operate back in a normal pace, and we are still at phase 1 with this coronavirus thing alone, should sell you on the differences in where we are as far as leadership, that at bare minimum, let's at least, you know, people beg for a chance. People ask for a chance for Donald Trump to do wrong. And the worst thing that could have happened during his presidential term did happen. And we see where we're at. So far be it from us to want to try something new, because the alternative is putting ourselves in a situation that I never thought that I would be okay if George Bush would be president again. But I'd honestly be all right at this point. Like, I think at bare minimum, we would not be here. Like, at bare minimum.
I'd pay to be on his campaign team, dude.
Like, listen, man. I'd
bring W back in a heartbeat.
That's how
bad this motherfucker is, man.
And that's not saying that I co-sign anything he did, but that is to say we're at a point now to where this is almost in a way genocide in a a way.
Absolutely,
because you as a quote unquote
getting
leader
affected the most by this shit
is people of color.
Exactly.
And that myth that Black people weren't affected by this and that young people weren't affected by this has been debunked in the
numerous fucking times.
So we're at the point now, you really got to ask yourself, are you willing to let your body deteriorate because you're afraid of some surgery that may make you uncomfortable? And that's where we're at with this decision between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and 4 more years of Trump. That's if we even last 4 more years under Trump. That's one thing. You know what I mean? And that's just true. Is he the boogeyman? No. Do I think that he's a bunch of hot air? Yes, but I also think that he what comes with him is a lot of dog whistling to the everyday American citizen that feels like they can be as prejudiced as they want to. They can be as nasty of a people as they want to. And, you know, there's more that comes.
Destruction in his wake.
He does.
Just his bullshit alone triggers so many people and emboldens so many people, and then his inaction kills so many people. Because if we made this just a one issue vote, the fact that we're approaching 2 million cases,
2 million cases, and I think 170 on our way to 180,000 deaths.
Like, I mean, that one issue alone, the fact
if nothing else, I don't give a shit about Russia.
Take everything else off the table, bro.
If nothing else,
if nothing else, why we come out and show the same type of unity and solidarity that they do, because they're coming out. They don't care. They COVID, mask, no mask.
They don't care. They're coming out.
Give a damn. They're gonna come out.
It's election season.
Hats.
And I was gonna say that. I don't know about you, but the season's coming up. I'm seeing them hats more and more. I'm seeing them hats more and more now. They ready. They
ready, bro.
But also in that, I do want to say to Black men and Black women, specifically with families, you're gonna need to be prepared to protect yourself going forward. Because if you think they're going to lose gracefully, you got another thing coming.
Hell no.
So that needs to be in the back of your mind as well.
Election day is going to be a huge turning point in the history of this country.
For sure.
Because not only is Trump not going to go quietly into the night, his supporters are not just going to be silenced. They're not just going to be like, non-existent. No. That same ideology will continue. It will continue to snowball. It will continue to permeate our society, and it's not going anywhere. So I feel you on that. We need to be protected on several levels. Right. From being armed, if you want to go to the extreme, and I've never been an advocate like that, for guns. But I mean, why not? Like I'm like Killer Mike said, like, why not exercise your right to bear arms?
Yes, because they will
right now.
They will. I mean? And for sure. And me personally, I got my first firearms within the last year. I will say this. I'd rather be prepared for what I'm sure is coming than beg them for mercy, and they haven't given me mercy without it.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? I have a family to protect. I got a wife. I got a son. And you know what I'm saying? My grandmother lives with me too. So, I'm putting one in you before you even think about it. You know what I'm saying? That's just a reality of it. And that's just because that ain't walking around like I'm a tough guy, nothing like that. But I have to protect them. That's our duty as men.
Absolutely. That's just your basic function as a human, is self-preservation. Yeah. And when you feel like all of these threats exist and they come in so many different forms. I mean, I like, my wife is totally anti-gun. Anytime I would bring up anything related to guns, gun ranges, even buying my kids Nerf guns, she wasn't trying to hear it until this year, where she is now like pressing me to go get something legit.
Because I'm trying to be here. I'm trying to be here.
Absolutely, bro. Yep. I mean, just like you said, that's your duty as the man of the house to protect what you have. You have to protect your home. And like, you just don't know where the threat is. Now, granted, that's the most extreme example. But we also need to be prepared and protected mentally too.
Oh, for sure. For
sure. Just on just the mental dexterity you have to have now to just navigate the sea of bullshit. Yep. You know what I mean? Like we need to be, again, very well versed on policies and debunking bullshit in the age of fake everything, in the age of lies told. I don't know what Trump's average is on a daily basis.
Oh, I'm sure he's putting up a triple-double.
Oh yeah, no, he's putting up crazy numbers. But what happens is all of his followers then pawn that off as fact because it came out of his fucking mouth.
Of course.
So we need to know when to, block bullshit, if you will. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's just so much right now, dude. It's so much right now, man. But I want to get on a lighter note, man.
Let's do it.
Light, man. Well, I don't know. It's actually not that light. Fuck, man. Kobe, man. I want to talk about Kobe, man. I want to talk about the Black Mamba. Got to show the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
All good.
Live hiccup right there. But yeah, no, I just want to talk about my man Kobe for a minute, bro. And you being one of the biggest Kobe fans that I know. It's his birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Yep.
And then Kobe Day, if I'm not mistaken, has been
8/24 for some
8/24, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Earl, tell the people, man, about just your love and admiration for Kobe.
For sure. So for me, I'm a true 90s kid to the core. I was born right at the cusp of I was born in 91. So the time that I was able to grasp the concept of basketball and everything, Kobe was drafted and just drafted, I think, the year before. Kobe is hands down my hero. When I hear people talk about Michael Jordan, salute. Jordan is the GOAT. We know that. But for me, what I saw was Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Literally from the time I was in the first grade until my son turned 1 that year, he played an entire basketball career.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that knows me knows I was living and dying on the Kobe Hill, Kobe shoes, Kobe jerseys, Kobe everything. But it was more than just, the idea of, oh, this basketball player. There was more to it. There was, at first it was the basketball. Because obviously that's all you knew. But as I got older, read books, interviews started hitting, stuff like that. It was just it was the aura. It was the determination. It was the never say die. It was the waking up every day to try to be the best. It was really, and even as I got older, it was taking pride in being a family man, championing for being the head of a house, championing for advocating for women, championing for just taking pride in a sense of being what a man is supposed to be.
Right.
That's my guy, man, 110%. Personally, my role model. I think that dedication to one's craft, that dedication to one's passions, because it took me years to find mine and where I'm at now. But once I did, I locked in, and that Mamba mentality, man, like it is something that will have you doing things that you never thought possible, doing things that status quo should say you shouldn't be able to, but broken finger, ruptured Achilles, whatever, persevering, getting through. Dedication to excellence, dedication to trying, accepting failure. Failure isn't the issue. Not trying is the issue. And that comes as a tree right off of Michael Jordan. I mean, I think once you look up to somebody that was the embodiment of that, of course, you're going to have that same mirroring effect on your own life and then impact generations. But even more so, also, I think the thing for Kobe, unlike Mike, was he was more reachable. And I guess because he just came up in a different time. But that same that he had about him also was to see Kobe down the street somewhere. And, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was different. That was what my generation had. But the reverence that he has in the NBA today, you can just see, man, like there's just a certain connection of that. And I mean, again, like I don't have it with me, but you talking about being a Kobe fan. I still have shirts from no, for real. This is a literal dead.
Pull something out.
Oh yeah, this is a dead stock T-shirt from 2009. It's Christmas. Yeah, the Christmas. He wore the Chaoses, and they ran the Puppets campaign. I'm sure that I was telling you about earlier. Yeah, this is literally dead stock, new with tags. Yeah, man, like Kobe is everything to me, man, as far as like a role model. Like I really, really genuinely felt hurt when he passed. It felt like I lost a family member in a lot of ways. Like,
yeah, man.
Got them screaming encore. They just want more. Yeah, who you know did it like Kobe, 60 to go. That's some cold shit, call it 60 below. I mean, he played like he got ice in his veins. Shoot it in your face from far, man, that boy gotta be nice at the range. I talked with him twice at the games, once had to trade it on video. I say we had a nice little exchange of words. He said you gotta come and spice up the game, say word. Kobe giving me advice is insane, absurd. Your favorite player you watch slice through the lane. It's putting you on the game and the price of this fame. These are things that let you know that your life's gonna change. See, I was fucking with son when he wore Adidas number 8 in the fro. They was hating him, no. When you blow up, why do people try to flating you, though? Like, they ain't got 5 rings of their own, but these peasant niggas still try kings on a throne.
Like I was saying, man, just about the Black Mamba, man, in general, man, that was really a hero of mine. Like, I think it's even shown just how beloved he was in the world. I mean, shoot, for God's sakes, we saw, I think that's the only time we'll ever see figures from Michael Jordan to Jay-Z to Beyonce all bawling in tears just because of the impact this dude left on their lives. So it's like,
seeing Mike
it's different.
That emotional, man,
I've never seen it.
I had
Only time I
mixed
saw him
feelings,
that
man.
emotional was the
Hall of
championship
Fame
he won on
speech.
Father's Day.
Hall of Fame
Yeah,
speech.
that too.
He was crying meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But you knew Kobe meant a lot to Mike. And
Yeah.
Their relationship, it was it was always for me kind of like, I thought it was a little contentious when it was happening, but after watching The Last Dance, even before The Last Dance, you knew there was like some deep affection, that they had a love for each other. It's funny because I wasn't always the biggest Kobe fan, right?
Right.
But a lot of that had to do with my misconception that he didn't show Mike enough respect. Like, he didn't acknowledge Mike enough. Like, I think there was one comment he made, about not being intimidated to play against Mike. And, me being the ultimate Jordan fan, I took that as respect. Like, oh, word, you ain't gonna respect the GOAT? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I always felt like, I think for a lot of people who weren't Kobe fans, I think he was misunderstood early in his career. And I definitely was guilty of that. I really didn't see like his true greatness until he won that first championship without Shaq. And then it was like undeniable. It's like, okay, how can you hate? Like, if you hate on Kobe, you just a motherfucking hater. Like, you can't not
averaging 40 points
acknowledge
in the finals.
This man's greatness. You can't say he needed Shaq as, a crutch. You can't say that he can't carry a team and take them all the way. Like, you just had to acknowledge how great he was. But then what makes, his passing, his untimely passing, even more tragic is to see, really what kind of person he was off the court. And all the stories that came in about, him going out of his way to make time for people, and as giving and as much of like a consummate stand-up family man as he was. It just adds to the legend. It just adds. And his farewell game, dude, I'll never forget that, man. I watched that shit live, and I was just, man, it was like a magical couple of hours watching him.
It was wild.
Go out like that, man. And it was very fitting. And before, I would never even include him in the GOAT conversation, but I absolutely have to, I gotta put him up there with Mike, man. Mike, just from a skill level, from a just pure domination, pure just conquering his sport, he's the best, right? But if you encompass like everything that it means to be great in any sport, you got to put Kobe right up there. And like you said, he was more accessible. He was more warm to people. He wasn't as closed off as Jordan was. In Jordan's defense, there was never a superstar like him. He was
never. And I think if Jordan came out in 2000, he's more accessible. Yeah, it's just what comes with the times. It's what comes with the times. That's all it is.
Everything. I make that argument even with Mike being, silent on social issues. It's like, it's different. The 90s were like, if you look at it through rose-colored glasses, like black people, it was like a renaissance for black people, like, the Cosby Show, black movies and music. And hip-hop.
We was all over primetime network television, Fox, ABC, whatever.
As far as entertainment was concerned, we were running it, and that was like pacifying the general public. So it was okay for Mike not to really be outspoken on those issues. If he was coming up at the time of Muhammad Ali and of just Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor, like those times, he would have had to have been outspoken, or he would have been looked at like an OJ, which a lot of people try to put him in that box. I never did. But it was just that time period. And I also think him being as huge, as larger than life as he was, that in itself, it was just a positive image of this black superhero. And just like me, Kobe Bryant was in Italy watching him, being inspired by his every move. But he was the kid. I forgot who said this. I don't know who said this, but it was so profound to me. It was like Kobe was the kid that we all wanted to be, in a sense, like we all wanted to be like Mike, but Kobe was the kid who became as good as Mike and had enough courage to go one-on-one with him and go toe-to-toe with him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think the only other figure in basketball who I might, be able to put in that same category would be Allen Iverson, because he had the same kind of admiration, but he didn't achieve, obviously, the same level of admiration as a Kobe. But
and it's that generation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
and truth be told, it's Mike's fault. And that's not no knock on but it's your fault. I'm sorry, you inspired us to be great. So
definitely.
You came in the league and said fuck everybody and averaged 28 in your rookie year.
Yeah,
right.
Man.
And not fuck everybody disrespectfully, but I want to win.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? To the point where they were putting them on minutes restrictions and all that. And we saw the last things. We know what it was. But, like, you wanted to win. So if the figure now, everybody's
costs.
Looking up to him, this is just going to multiply even more. And that's anything in humanity. Like, sorry, you made this greatness a standard.
Yeah, that late 90s, early 2000 generation was all his, those are his
all his kids. It was our
offspring.
Little brothers, however you want to exactly. Like, sorry, but you made being great the standard. Yeah. So I'm sorry, you're going to go from Michael Jordan to the bridge of that, right? Which was Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway. I know we talking sports now, but we talking about the bridge that was Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway, right?
Definitely.
Which were the two swingmen. And then all of a sudden, that 96 draft happens. And in the same draft, we get 3 of the top 10 shooting guards to ever play the game.
Yeah.
With Iverson, because he's a 2 guard. I don't care what anybody says. Ray Allen and Kobe. And then the year after that, Tracy McGrady comes. And then the year after that, Vince Carter comes. And Paul Pierce and so on and so on. And it's like, no, this is what it is. So that's why when Mike comes back on the Wizards in 2001 and is averaging 22, really, let's put that into context. 22, but really 25, 26 before he got hurt.
Yep.
And had to sit out. So realistically, he was really 26 points a game, which at 38 was averaging 2 less points in his rookie year, which is insanity.
It is. No, it is.
So, regardless, like, no, you made great. And that's what also happened. I'm sorry, the same thing happened for Hov, because that's why you have, you can say what you want about Drake, but as far as the ability to capture audiences, no one has done it like Hov except for Drake. Like,
well, I would
Wayne had that short run.
I would say Kanye. I would say Drake is more.
I kind of consider them in the same.
Yeah, but
he's that bridge
gap is Hov, Kanye, Drake.
Kanye, then Drake, right? Yeah. And it's like, sorry, Hov, but you inspired us. So when you make you the standard, I have no choice but to chase that. And that just breeds off. That's the best thing for the game, whether it's rap or whether it's sports. That's what's best for the game is one guy's the standard, and then all of a sudden we're all trying to be the standard because he made it this way. So it's great, man. It's greatness. But back to Kobe, man. Again, just rest in peace to the mom. But that was my hero. I got a painting or a piece of work in the house now from you that I told my wife, I said, listen, man, this is going right in the front room. Believe that. And she was more adamant than me.
Oh, that's
no, it's got to go here because you need to see that. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Joy, man.
That's dope, man. Well, look, before you get out of here, bro, before we jump on this panel to talk about the Nas album, give me your top 3 because, you're one of the biggest sneakerheads I know, too. We didn't really get to touch on that, but
if you got about 5 minutes, we can do that real quick. Real quick.
We don't have to go across the whole gamut, but I want you to give me your top 3 Kobe sneakers because I was never a big Kobe guy. Like I didn't like the low tops. Like I wasn't rocking low tops. But
fair enough.
I know you got the Kobe's on lock. So give us your top 3 Kobe's, bro.
Before I do this, I just want to say to everybody that's listening, this is your fault. And I say it's your fault. No. This is your fault because my affection for sneakers came from Donnie. Absolutely. Absolutely. It came from you. This is your fault. Like, I saw stuff, but no. When me and John used to go in your room, and I'm telling you this now because the statute of limitations is up. When you were out and we used to go in your room and just look at, like, fucking Last Shot 14s, Olympic 7s, White Cement 4s, this is your fault. So my affection for sneakers, I always tell Joy, like, listen, you got to blame Donnie. Don't blame me. This is your fault.
That's too
But
funny,
nah, man. My top 3 Kobe's are wow, never actually. Okay. The glass blue Kobe 6. It was known as another name, but we don't call it that anymore because of the tragedy.
Kobe 6? Okay.
Yeah. Glass blue Kobe 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it was it was originally called the helicopter, but we just don't call it that anymore. And this is years. Yeah, years.
I get it.
Yeah. So we just call it the glass blue now.
Okay.
Give me. Ooh, dang, yo, you really put me on the spot here, but that's cool. Give me Galaxy 7s. Galaxy 7s mean a lot to me because that All-Star game was in Orlando. And just the whole thing about the Galaxy Pack, it was wild that weekend. I'll come back on one day and tell that story. Yeah, I'll tell the story of that whole weekend. It was nuts. And I was working that weekend. It was crazy. And then the Grinch Kobe 6. It's iconic. Yeah, the Grinch. I mean, It was iconic. That was a moment in sneaker history. Like, that was up there with, like, real talk, seeing the White Cement 4 and Do the Right Thing, just because it was like, wait, they're wearing Grinch color sneakers on Christmas? This is nuts. And yeah, like it was.
I came back to Florida I think that year. What year was that?
Yeah.
Was that 2000?
That was 10.
10?
That was 10.
2010. I came back from DC that year. Yeah. And that was when, like, the Christmas game was like, it was at an all-time
it was the
high.
game. That was when Bron first got to Miami. It was Lakers Heat.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was the game. Yeah. But nah, that Grinch 6 is something about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, E. Well, look, man, I appreciate your time, my brother. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, bro.
But we ain't done, man. We about to get into this Nas album, man. We're gonna bring on.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about a top 5 Nas project.
We're gonna bring Crown on. So look, bro, we gonna jump into that, man. But I appreciate you, my bro.
Yo, bro, appreciate it, man. Everybody, y'all can find us at you can follow me at Earl Got Soul on everything.
Yes, let them know.
And yeah, man, and follow Guessing from the Stands podcast. We're available on all digital streaming platforms.
EFTS.
Yes, absolutely.
Look out, because we about to have a Guessing from the Stands DopeOnes collab.
We about to talk about it?
Yeah,
about to talk about it? Let's do it. Yeah, man.
We gonna do that in the next, like, this coming week. We're gonna drop that. So look out for that, everybody. And look out, DopeOnes got a Kobe sale going on starting tomorrow through Monday. So Kobe's birthday, we're gonna honor and celebrate him. And there's a sale going on at the store. I'm gonna drop some more information about that in the morning.
Salute. You know, I'm already.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Salute to you, bro.
You know what we at with it.
Kobe and Nick, and that's off
Absolutely.
That's off the rip. Yeah,
word, man.
Let's get into this Nas thing, man. Let me get you the Zoom link, man. Let's head over there, man.
Let's do it. We all gonna tap in. Appreciate y'all.
All right, bro. Much love, bro.
Much love, bro.
Peace.
Peace.